The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. Today and tomorrow, we're going to be just reflecting on this phrase, He restores my soul. What comes to mind when you hear the word soul? When I was younger, I think it was kind of the Looney Tunes version of soul that I had in my mind. So Daffy Duck, when he got blown up with dynamite, this kind of transparent image of Daffy would leave his body and would float up to heaven, and it would have wings and a harp. And I used to think that that's what the soul was. But that's not the biblical picture. It's not what God says your soul is. So in Genesis chapter 2, we read that the Lord God formed the man out of the dust of the earth, and he breathed his life into his nostrils, and the man became a living soul. So your soul really it's your very self. It's the center of who you are. And that's important for us to remember and to recognize. The center of who you are is not your thoughts. It's not your feelings. It's certainly not your circumstances. It's not your will. It's not your activity. The center of who you are is your soul, which kind of integrates every other aspect of your being. Your soul is your very self as God created you to be. Now in Psalm 23, we read that our good shepherd restores our souls. And for your soul to be restored, that means that it must be in need of restoring, that it must be off-center. And it's so easy for us to become off-center when we put at the center the things that are not our souls, that are not who we are created to be in relationship to God. So when you put your circumstances at the center of your life, and there are all sorts of things in the middle of this coronavirus epidemic that just invade our thinking, all sorts of circumstances that demand our attention, as well as just the ongoing difficulties and struggles that so many of us face in our daily lives. For so many of us, it's our will, our purposes, our activities, our efforts that become the center of our lives. And our Good Shepherd invites us to come and to lie down in green pastures, to walk by still waters, and to allow him to restore our souls. The Good Shepherd's job is to restore your soul. That's his job, not yours. But yet you and I can have a role to play. You and I can cooperate in his business of restoring our souls. A sheep that runs around and refuses to follow the direction of the Good Shepherd will only get anxious. And if we choose to focus on our circumstances, on our activities, on our own thoughts and feelings, then that takes us away from the Good Shepherd's invitation to let him restore our souls. Do you know one really good way in which you can cooperate with his gracious invitation to restore your soul is to remember the times when God has come through for you in the past? Have there been times when you can remember that God has been at work in your life, when you have noticed his closeness? Maybe there are times when there have been difficult circumstances in your life, but now looking back, you can see that God was there with you and for you, and that he has pulled you through. He is the one who restores your soul. So take some time, find a bit of time just to remember you might find it helpful to jot down some ways in which you recognize God's presence in your past, ways in which you recognize that God has come through for you, and reflect on these things. And then in this current moment, with whatever you are facing, just meditate on these words: He restores my soul. Matt Redman wrote a song called "It Is Well With My Soul," and I'll put the link to it on the comments afterwards. But let me read to you the verse, a few words from this song by Matt Redman. Our scars are a sign of grace in our lives, and Father, how you brought us through. When deep were the wounds and dark was the night, the promise of your love you proved. Now every battle still to come, let this be our song. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. So may you today know the Good Shepherd's with you, leading you, restoring your soul.